Muhammad Buhari that you know and you saw on your television, 1942 to 2025, announced to have died in a London clinic earlier today. But those who know him very well, and we'll be hearing from a few of them tonight, let me first and foremost get Mr. Femi Adesina, who was a spokesperson for the 8 years that the president was in office. His life for us from Lagos. Mr. Adesina, thank you so much indeed. What a day, and our condolences to all the Buhari family and to the nation. How does this come to you? As for someone who was your friend, as a personal friend, before becoming your boss.
Touch. Like you said, before I worked for him as a special advisor on media and publicity, he was my senior friend. To the extent that when my mother passed away in 2013, and we were having the obsequies in Lagos there, he came. A Christian program, he sat through it. It was one of the reasons I respected him so dearly. You know, people used to demarket him that he was such a religious bigot, he didn't want to hear about any other religion. We had a Christian program for my late mother, and he sat through it. A bigot doesn't do that. And then, when he was appointing his aides, the story is told, it was Governor Kayode Fayemi who told me that story, that they took 4 names to him to pick one as a special advisor on media. He took his pen from his breast pocket, circled my name, and signed in front of it. Those are some of the things I'll never forget. And about a week before he traveled for the medical checkup that he never returned from, I was with him in his home in Kaduna. I never knew that was the last time I would see him. So I feel touched that President Buhari has passed away. I not only lost the boss, I lost a friend.
What do you think is one thing that a lot of Nigerians don't know about the Buhari? Personal life, as an individual, what is it that you think that is not popular out there about the Buhari?
That was why I wrote my book in January last year, Working with Buhari. The preface of that book is very important because I explained why I wrote it. And what I said in that preface was that I wrote the book to correct a misperception about Buhari. That was why I wrote that book, that he was a religious bigot when he is not. I remember our first Christmas, December 2015. He called me. He said, Adesina, I know you are a church person. When it is Christmas, go and be with your family. And when you come back in January, me too, I'll then take a short leave. And throughout our 8 years, he ensured that we, that are Christians working with me, when it is Easter, when it is Christmas, when it is December, Christmas, he will tell us to go and enjoy that season with our families. So, contrary to what many people believed, he was not a religious bigot. And then, discipline. You needed to know how disciplined President Buhari was. If he had a meeting at 9, on the dot of 9, he was seated. He would not say he's president and then he will come 1 hour late and not even render an apology and just start the meeting. No, he was not a person like that. He was a stickler for time. I guess that came from his military background. He was disciplined. And it was one of the things I admired in him. And of course, integrity. You cannot accuse President Buhari of anything that has the slightest affinity to corruption. I know the next question will be, so many people around him have been accused of corruption. But the thing is, you cannot link President Buhari with corruption in any way. Not in any way.
Mr. Adesina, give me a moment. Let me hear also from the former Attorney General of the Federation, who was also AGF for 8 years under Muhammadu Buhari. And he's been around President Muhammadu Buhari since the CPC days. Mr. Abubakar Malamai, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, is on the telephone with us tonight. Let us seek. Okay, all right, we will get back. We'll get him back. Okay, let us see, can you hear me? Let us see, I don't know if you can hear me. So if you can hear me, condolences. But what would you miss about the man you worked for 8 years and you've known for several years? You are also regarded as one of the inner circle members. All right, it seems the network is very horrible. But, Mr. Adesina, if there is one thing that you think the nation will miss about the man Buhari, what would that be?
Well, his love for Nigeria. Buhari loved Nigeria. I remember when there were unrest in different parts of the country, he told us that anybody who was going to dismember Nigeria will have a lot of them to contend with. He mentioned General Obasanjo, he mentioned Abdulsalami Abubakar, the whole brigade, and he mentioned himself. He said, we fought for the unity of this country. So anybody that would dismember this country will have to contend with us. He loved Nigeria dearly.
Well, tell us, a lot of talks about his frugality, how he lived a simple life and all whatnot. And there are those who, in fact, who say that he was even given a land in Katsina at some point, but he refused it. What is it about the frugality? There are those who say it's a ruse. It's not really like that. He's got this, he's got that. What do you know about him in that respect?
Well, those who say it's not really like that can say so because they do not know him. One day, I went to see him in the house, in the presidential villa. And he invited me to a table. It was dinner time. The food was laid out in a buffet. And if you see what the president ate, couscous, small quantity. And then the small grapes, he took a small quantity. That was all that he ate. All. And I was telling myself, see the president of this huge, blessed country. That was all he ate. And many other times, when I saw him eating, it was sparse meal that he would eat. He was such a frugal person, very frugal.
In all of this, there are those who are around him who are said to have used the advantage of closeness with him to their own advantage and benefits, which perhaps have brought some kind of controversies about the man Buhari. What are the views of the president, the former president, before he died on some of this? He told us, anyways, in that interview, you were behind the cameras, when he said, look, the reason why I don't want this to happen is because I don't want anybody to come. I don't want to be a witness in court. So, I mean, how does it feel about those? I mean, I'm very sure that he heard that a lot of people benefited using his name.
Yes, what he said was that anybody that had questions to answer should answer it. That was just his opinion. His words are, if you are given trust and you abuse the trust, then go and answer for it. That's
Mr. Adesina, give me a moment. Let me try again with Mr. Abubakar Malamai. I understand that he's back with us on the telephone line. Mr. Malamai, if you can hear me now, what are your thoughts tonight about the passing on of the former President Muhammadu Buhari?
Well, for me, it is indeed a sad loss of a father a mentor, and indeed a statesman par excellence. As far as President Buhari is concerned, he was indeed a towering figure whose life was defined by service and sacrifice. Sacrifice and service that are flavored by integrity. You know, in my own case, he was indeed my mentor, my father, and indeed someone from whom I learned a lot, both in terms of leadership, in terms of life, and in terms of social engagement, among others. He was no doubt a symbol of integrity, transparency, patriotism, and uncompromising honesty, and that is the legacy I believe he left behind unquestionably.
But what would you say that the Buhari that you worked with, because he got a lot of legal advice and direction as to issues relating to law and legality from you, even from the CPC days, and you are regarded as one of those within his inner circle. In fact, you were regarded as one of the cabals, the Buhari cabals. What was it like working so closely with the Muhammad Buhari?
Well, I think the major consideration as far as the leadership of Buhari is concerned is what is it that is on table, both in terms of delivery of service, in terms of transparency, in terms of accountability, and national development of the Nigerian state. I believe the fact is not in doubt that Buhari fought corruption beyond any, beyond any compromise. When the fight against corruption is concerned, he has been internationally recognized as a towering figure, a figure that has been acknowledged and indeed recognized by African Union as a champion of the fight against corruption. That in its own right has established a point that as far as fight against corruption is concerned, Buhari has indeed been internationally acclaimed. When you talk of infrastructure as far as the Nigerian state is concerned, the fact remains established that Buhari has succeeded where a lot of other former presidents of the Nigerian state failed. When you talk of Second Niger Bridge, he takes the credit. When you talk of Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, he takes the credit. When you talk of Abuja-Kano Expressway, he has the credit as well. And when you talk of international economic development as well, he stands as a singular president that saved the Nigerian state the collapse of the national economy by way of saving Nigeria from what could have been an economic disaster, assuming the case against Nigeria relating to P&ID has succeeded in taking away over $11 billion out of the Nigerian economy. So by whatever parameters you look at it, Buhari was exceptional in leadership. If you talk of transparency, accountability, his records are clear, distinct.
Mr. Malamai, yes. Politically speaking, and you are of the CPC block of the APC. Well, I understand now that you moved out of the CPC, but I mean from the APC. But the 12 million constant votes that Buhari backs at every election probably had gone to the, would be going to the grave with him. Who is going to be the replacement politically in that?
Well, you see, as far as politics is concerned, the equation is an equation that you cannot predict with precision. But the fact remains that Buhari left behind a legacy, and that legacy is a legacy of service. So I believe among the legacies Buhari will leave behind is the legacy of the 12 million votes, taking into consideration that they are votes that are rooted in service, they are rooted in transparency, accountability, and above all, a sacrifice to the national development. So if indeed there are people that are, any of his disciples fit into this characteristic, the possibility of perhaps maybe inheriting the 12 million votes could be there. You cannot rule out the possibility that the 12 million votes are part of the legacies that Buhari left behind.
Well, how much of a miss would the Buhari's death be, not only for Nigeria, for the APC, and for Katsina State specifically?
Well, the debt, indeed, it is a colossal loss, not only to Nigeria, but internationally. Because this Buhari, as you can rightly conclude, is indeed a symbol of transparency, a symbol of integrity, a symbol of patriotism, and a symbol of uncompromising honesty. So taking into consideration these characteristics that are unique and exceptional about Buhari, the fact that Buhari is gone will certainly leave behind a clear vacuum as far as these characters are concerned. These are exceptional and unique characteristics of Buhari are concerned. It is indeed a sad loss, not only to the family members, but indeed to Katsina State and the Nigeria as a whole. And internationally, as you rightly know, because he has been acclaimed internationally and acknowledged as an exceptional figure that embodies integrity, transparency, and accountability. Mr.
Abubakar Malamai, former Attorney General of the Federation, thank you for your thoughts about the late president, former President Muhammadu Buhari. Thanks so much indeed.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you.
Mr. Adesina, what do you think will be the biggest lesson anyone, the nation, APC, and every Nigerian can take away from the life and the times of Muhammadu Buhari?
Be a man of integrity. Be a man who speaks and you stand by your word. Be a man entrusted with responsibilities and you stayed true to the country. That, I think, is one of the most important legacies President Buhari has left for us.
Thank you so much, Mr. Adesina, for your time tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you.